Welcome to the 420th edition of the Holy Backboard Podcast. I am Dustin here in rainy Rip City, and I got my man
Sage kicking it live and direct here in Beaverton, Oregon. We got a lot to talk about, man. So I'm pretty excited to be able to talk about some stuff.
Yeah, going to the home opener. I woke up. I was sleeping on the side of my son's crib on the floor. He woke up in the middle of the night, and so I do that sometimes to kind of calm him down. And I always put my phone a few feet away from me because I've got a couple of alarms. And he wakes up. I kind of just check my phone to see if I have any notifications. My buddy Brett, all I can see is like, your dream has come true. You texted me across the lines of, holy shit, and what just happened? Like, I am just waking up. And I got to tell you, Sage, I did not have the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers getting arrested by the federal government
for 4
on
years.
my bingo card. 8 hours, not even 8 hours after we got home from the home opener. Like, talk about left field. My goodness.
Yes, I woke up at like 6:05, and Stu sent me a holy shit message, and I'm like, the fuck, what could possibly be happening at 6:05 on a Thursday? Come on now. And then, like, I had to get you Thursday, right? For those that don't know, I sort of do graphic design. My cousin needed me to make some graphic design stuff. Did not do very well in the graphic design departments because I was busy looking at all of the charges. I mean, like 4 years, like, for the lawyers that Chauncey Billups is gonna get, they needed all 4 years to really get the FBI to get everything going. Like, it's super interesting, and I'm starting to see some stuff that's really, really, really sad because of the NBA's branding with FanDuel and DraftKings. Like, this looks the optics of that.
Well, when ESPN was breaking the news, they had an ESPN bet advertisement on their ticker. And of course, they finally realized that was pretty hypocritical and silly at the time and took it down during the following segment. But just at a high level, here is kind of what I've gathered that the charges are against Chauncey Billups. Again, we are not the experts in legality. There are other outlets that do this for a living and are going to do much more in-depth coverage. This podcast is more about how this affects the Portland Trailblazers product on the court and now the reputation off of the court. But Chauncey Billups was charged with being basically money laundering, wire fraud with an illegal poker ring tied to the mafia. These are things you only read about or see in the movies. This is real life charges against Chauncey Billups, where I believe in 2019 and 2020, he was used as a celebrity, as his credibility to lure these quote unquote fish into these card games. And they were using x-ray glasses. I mean, they had basically the ability to tell which side of the card was what cards were in the deck, the stuff under the table, like James Bond type stuff to rig these card games. But that's not all that there is, Sage. As the day unfolds, the investigators online, the ones who are really good at it, started to see that in this Terry Rozier stuff, there's a co-conspirator number 8 who happens to really fit the description of a one Chauncey Billups and is accused of providing insider information. Now, there's going to be a lot of discussion around, oh, it's just tanking. Everybody does it. Everybody knew the Blazers were going to do it, but that's not what he is being charged for, Sage. He is being accused of giving tips that, no, this is the day and time that we are sitting Damian Lillard, Jeremy Grant, and Yusuf Nurkic and Anthony Simons. You are going to want to bet against the other team because we are not trying to win. That is it is very black and white, which you are allowed to do at the league level, right? And I want to make this abundantly clear. I know everything is innocent until proven guilty. However, with that said, Shaquille O'Neal last night on Inside the NBA basically put it pretty bluntly. If the feds sink their claws into you, that's very unlikely that you are going to wriggle out of their grasp. Because as you mentioned, they put together cases year after year after year, and they want to have concrete evidence, and they always do an act of surprise. They don't want you to get your ducks in a row. That's why it happened at 5 a.m. the day after the game, right? Like
What they did yesterday,
they're the federal government. This isn't the regional police, this isn't the city police, this isn't the sheriff department. This is the federal government. And if they have ties that you were in the pocket of the mob, boy, that is serious stuff. And as Brian Windhorst has mentioned, yes, the NBA is concerned about that from a reputation perspective, but they are really focused in on Terry Rozier and also the insider trading, insider tipping off. Like that's what they are really going to focus on. So he is basically up a creek without a paddle twice.
So there's that singer David who it looks really bad for. They haven't arrested him because they're trying to get as much evidence for the trial. What the FBI did yesterday was put a shot clock on all of the proceedings. Like they have enough evidence, so it is not looking good. But like if Chauncey Billups, like if I do prop bets and I do daily fantasy during the basketball season.
Will you break down what a prop bet is?
I will.
I vaguely have an idea. I don't gamble. I know you are a responsible gambler with that, but break down what you mean by a prop bet.
So almost all starters have like an over under. So let's say when he was really doing this, it was Damian Lillard. So let's say Damian Lillard had a prop bet of 25 points. You have to make the decision point of, do you think he's going up or down from 25? And usually when you're doing prop bets, most people that are just doing it out of emotion want to root for Damian Lillard or whoever they're betting on to go better. But it's more beneficial for the gambler to take unders almost exclusively. So you think that Damian Lillard's not going to get the 24 points, or you're not thinking Desmond Bain is going to take the under on points, or there's also prop bets for rebounds, assists, points, rebounds, assists, points, all of these statistical categories. If I got 5 minutes, and for a few months last year, I was one of the best prop bettors on the app. So I'm pretty good at it. If I was given 5 minutes of knowledge that Damian's out or Scoot's out or Ant or LeBron, I'm going to make a lot of money with that knowledge. And I'm not even going to bet on the other team. I'm betting on props exclusively. So if I know Dame's out, CJ McCollum, Yusuf Nurkic. If LeBron's out, you're going AD or Luka. So you have this immense amount of knowledge that you're using to make that edge is crazy. So there's sometimes where you get the injury news before the Vegas book updates everything, and then you just pound money because you're ahead of Vegas. So if Vegas says you're gonna make even money, which would be awesome on a bet that you know is good, you're just gonna get. So if you put $1 and you get 2, or if you put 100, you get 200. So if I knew that before them, I'm pounding that line, and then it's gonna become harder and harder to profit once that information comes. So they change it from an even bet to a very, very high. You put in $1, you get 20 cents or 8 cents instead of the full dollar. And then honestly, remember when I would win DFS tourneys and I would write about it on holybackboard.com? If I knew that Dame was out or LeBron was out before everybody else, I would make lineups perfect for that knowledge base. So I'm thinking that eventually it's going to go to the DraftKings and the FanDuels, because I know that Dame's out, I'm going to have CJ, I'm going to have all of these players before anybody else. So it knowing that LeBron's out or knowing that Dame's out, you could swing yourself. If you had enough money, you could make $1 million relatively easy just knowing that this exists. So, like, if I was on that thing, I would be we'd be rich if I knew 82 games who's up playing for the Blazers before anybody else.
And that's exactly what Terry Rozier specifically has been indicted for. He told a bunch of people, bet my unders, I'm going to take myself out of this game.
Yeah.
He played 9 minutes, did not come back. And as Brian Windhorst reported, the sports books caught wind of that the day. Like, when you have irregularities of a random player of the nature of Terry Rozier and you see a bunch of money flood in on that player, that is going to alert the authorities.
It would be really obvious to the draft. If we're talking Blazers, if we're talking Oregonians gambling, it'd be really easy to notice that, a bunch of prop bettors took the unders on Terry Rozier. They actually, so what I do is EV gambling. So it's expected value gambling. I, in the past, have gotten restricted because I'm taking too many good bets. So I can only bet, let's say the max is 20. Usually the max is like 5,000, but they realize it. So if, like, let's just say the best prop bettors in the world, like that Terry Rozier stat, everybody's gonna know that looks sus. Because they know me. Like, when I'm taking unders on Jimmy Butler points or Al Horford rebounds and assists, they know that, well, that's a good bet. We should throttle him. So yeah, like, it's one day and people can make their bag on Terry Rozier.
Yeah, I think this has always been the kind of, you got to be careful what you wish for if you're the NBA. When you look at, you're getting a bunch of extra money coming in from all of these sports books, but now this is the third major scandal in less than 2 years. You had Jonte Porter banned for life. He pled guilty to doing the same thing as Terry Rozier. You have a head coach who was in the pocket of the mafia. I don't know if he still is, but are you ever not out of
yeah,
no, you're never not. That level of distrust, and when you have fans now questioning everything, and maybe you see videos of players online now, it might be in jest, it might not. You have to kind of think to yourself, are they throwing this? Well, what are they doing? The NBA has a reputation problem now. And again, let's not even talk about the fact that they still haven't even dealt with Steve Ballmer and the Clippers circumventing the salary cap to provide Kawhi Leonard with millions of dollars to not be a marketing partner for Aspiration. They've not even dealt with that yet. The league is starting to show major cracks in their foundation under Adam Silver. And this is, you kind of got in bed with Vegas. Mm-hmm. And this is what's going to happen. They really need to figure out how to regulate this, because I do think it is you can't put the toothpaste in the roll once it's been burned out situation. I think gambling is always going to be a part of sports, for better or for worse, but there needs to be better regulations around it, whether that is removing specific just prop bets and going strictly, okay, we're going to bet on the game, over, under, maybe total points for both teams, but individually, you're not going to be able to have as much of an impact if you are trying to rig a basketball game. I mean, there's just going to have to be something that the league takes on, because you cannot have a level of distrust with your fans, your paying customers who keep the league afloat. I texted Stu this and I was like, I wonder how far we are away from finding out that an important playoff game, or heaven forbid a finals game, is going to be implicated down the road. Like I don't think we're that far if we continue down this slippery slope, because that's where the real big money is being made.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they, as a fan of the league for 35 years, I don't have a lot of trust in Adam Silver. Like, I think this ultimately falls on him. He is the head honcho. He is the one that signed these deals. He needs to, I mean, there's things going on underneath him that he needs to figure out immediately, because you cannot have a level of distrust with your product.
Yeah, I don't think that the prop betting is not going away now that it exists. There's Underdog, Better, all of these other sites that are legal. Like Washington State does not. There is prop betting is illegal. So there's people that live in Vancouver that will drive down to Portland every day to bet because Washington State doesn't have prop bets or doesn't have regular betting, but they do have props. So it's good. Like once this is created, they're not putting the prop betting back into the toothpaste, because it's out. People are they're sports that you shouldn't even be thinking about doing, like video game or like tournaments and video games are now being prop bet. Like it's enormous business now that they said sports gambling is legal. So I don't know what the risk management for the NBA is at this given time, but it's enormous business. I think that it's going to be part of the league forever. And like, I remember Casey Hodal talking crap about DFSers because they want to know who's in, who's out. Like when I'm playing NBA DFS or NBA prop betting, my phone is on Twitter 24/7 looking for injuries. Like if you're trying to make money doing any gambling in basketball, the number one thing is injuries. Like it's gonna get so much worse with the toxicity. And I remember I was on a Max and people were talking about props, and I'm like, damn, I've done this stuff since 2010. I'm not this fucking annoying. Like it's pervasive in the sports culture now. Props and people wasting their hard-earned money doing really dumb shit parlays.
Back to Chauncey Billups. He was placed on leave by the National Basketball Association. He had a court arraignment yesterday afternoon in downtown Portland, had his passport removed. He's only able to travel between Oregon and Colorado. I don't know what the next steps for him look like. I don't know. Nobody really knows. I think it is a safe assumption to assume that he will never grace the sidelines for the Portland Trailblazers ever again. And in the context of basketball, I want to make this very clear. This is a basketball context. It is a great day for the Trailblazers. It is also an incredibly embarrassing day for the Trailblazers. I'll make it abundantly clear. If he is proven guilty, I feel terrible for his family and for his friends, because he put them in jeopardy.
Danger.
He put them in danger. When you take an oath to marry your life partner, that's it. Life partner. You're supposed to be there till the end. Like you shouldn't do anything to jeopardize breaking up that partnership. When you become a father, whether it's however you become a father, like you have a responsibility to that child to be there for them. If he's proven guilty, these actions are selfish and reckless. And I can't imagine his children, how they must feel if
the mafia knows everything about them.
If you see your dad getting taken away or arrested, like that's traumatizing. Like, so I feel incredibly empathetic towards the people close to him. If he's guilty, I don't feel a damn thing for him.
Yes.
For him. But in a basketball context, I want to really make this black and white. It is a fantastic day for the Trailblazers and also a black mark. We'll talk about the good first, because Sage, since the hire was made, we were not fans of this hire, how it was handled. the lack of experience that he brought to the position, the fact that it has taken 5 years now for Blazer fans to say like, oh, now he's got an identity. Like the bar is so low,
So fucking low.
so low that we're like, we're trying hard and we play good defense and we might make the play in. That is how low the bar is 5 years in. This guy wasn't it. He got extended for Lord knows what reason. I think this is great news that he is finally, hopefully, like 99% done with this organization, that we can finally move on and see what we have. Because
I mean, just think about this, dog. That we've had fans like Long Story Longer who have not watched the Blazers in 5 years because of Chauncey Billups and his sexual past, right? So long story longer hit me up and was like, I guess I can watch Blazer games now. I was like, yeah, the bad man's gone. Like, I couldn't imagine being a woman and being a fan of this team with knowing what Chauncey Billups has done in the past. You know what I mean? Like that. I think I think we're about to have a lot more fans of this team now that Splitter is the coach instead of Chauncey Billups. Like, we're talking about probably one of our most loyal fans not watching the game in 5 fucking years. Like that is dedication. And I'm sure that there are other people like that do not fuck with the Blazers because of how Chauncey Billups has been the head coach. So like we've been tortured by watching a high school coach play in the NBA for 5 years, but I mean, there's a lot of people that have not even watched the team in 5 years, which...
I mean, I can speak from personal existence. I didn't attend a single game that first year. It wasn't until they let Neil Olshey go that I felt like, okay. And I really just went to hang out with you. I know my fandom took a major hit. It was more of, I just want to go. I want to see Shaden dunk. And I want to be able to come chat with you on a weekly basis. Yeah, like, at that point, it's just like, I want them to lose because I want him to get fired and I want good draft picks. Like, I was not down with it from the jump. And, you know, I think from a basketball perspective, you see his limitations, Sage. We saw the Blazers go, I believe they had 2 field goals over the final 9.5 minutes against Minnesota.
Yeah, the most efficient basket was the free throw.
They were not able to, like, Jeremy Grant was hot.
Mm-hmm.
And Fuego. They were not running set action to get him looks. Defensively, where he's supposed to have his mark, was pretty horrific, right? He's just, we're going to let Anthony Edwards, who was absolutely cooking us.
He didn't miss a shot in the fourth quarter.
Just to go one-on-one on an island. Make somebody else beat you. Try something else. Didn't do it. Like that is Chauncey Billups in a nutshell. But because the bar is so low, Portland people, all I heard about on the post-game shows, the morning after reports, oh, the Blazers played the right way. They played hard. They showed grit. Like, grit ain't going to win you a championship. Ask Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have to have somebody who thinks the game of basketball and is willing to adapt and adjust. And a basketball mind that I respect a lot, Sam Vecini, he came out on his podcast, Game Theory, and said Chauncey Billups is the worst coach in basketball. He and Bryce are both big Blazer fans. They love watching this team. So Chauncey Billups is the worst coach in basketball. He is excited to see Tiago Splitter, and so am I. This is why I'm excited to see how they play now. Like, now it's okay. What do we have? Like, we always knew every caveat when we did Future Fridays, when we talked about this team, when we talked about their development was, is Chauncey Billups the head coach? That was the biggest god caveat, the hurdle, because we knew he was setting this team back.
Now, I know that there's negative people that are negative on Shaden Sharp's ceiling. Now it is time to watch and see what happens with Shaden Sharp and Scoot and all of these players. The last few years has been a complete and utter wash with the team.
It's been a shit show.
It's the worst context in the league every game, every season. The development. Yeah, now it is time. I'm not sure what Tiago Splitter is as a coach. None of us are. He's never had the responsibilities that he's had right now today, right? but we are at a better context around every player on this team. So now I want to see what we can do, how we can manipulate our offense into scoring at a reasonable rate. I want to see how fast we go. Our pace is way too fucking fast for how slow our centers are. We need to end possessions. We need to score. You and I knew it was bad when we were scoring a lot and they were scoring a lot, because eventually we're falling off a cliff and they're going to continue on. I want to see a complete and different change. And it's very easy to know when our offense changes because there's a lot more movement. And our only movement on the offensive side of the ball last 2 nights ago was us going towards the rim, all 5 of us. The one thing I want to see this year is good spacing. That's it. I want to see our guys play, but I need to see good spacing because we're not going to be able to tell what Scoot is or what Shaden is without.
I know there was a fan sitting next to us that kept saying, drive to the basket. And I just wanted to say, do you see the paint? There's 5 minutes with the Timberwolves in the paint.
And Rudy Gobert is stationary in the fucking paint.
We're not moving. There was a basket. Drew Holiday was backing his smaller man down. And I think it was Donovan was just in the paint with Gobert.
Next.
Yeah, Drew made the basket, but I was like,
that's a lot harder than it should have been.
What am I watching here? Tiago Splitter named interim head coach. First year on the bench for Tiago, obviously former member of the San Antonio Spurs. He led Paris basketball to its first ever French championship last season. They also won the French Cup and they qualified for EuroLeague playoffs. He was also just 1 year at Paris basketball. We're kind of seeing this where Memphis brought in that coach. What's his name? Was it Tomas?
I don't know. Yeah.
Either way, they brought him in, liked him enough that they fired Taylor Jenkins. You're starting to see
this is a humongous opportunity for Tiago.
This is why it's like, and I'm going to start to go into why this is a black mark for the Blazers. But first, I will say this is probably, obviously you don't want to see, you never want to get your spot due to injury, or you never want to get your spot due to somebody getting arrested, but this is an opportunity for Tiago Splitter because we mentioned this last time we recorded. If the Blazers fall short of their goal of just even making the plan, we figured Dundon would come in and clear absolute house. And when you clear house, that means that the head coach is gone. Well, what happens when you bring in a new head coach under new ownership? They like to bring in their own assistants. And so it didn't really matter how good of a job maybe Nate Bjorgen or Tiago Splitter would have done. That new head coach is going to bring in his own guys. Now Tiago Splitter has an open audition for the entire season in front of new ownership to show what he can do with a pretty decent roster. Young, room for development, room for growth. He has a chance to say, I want this job, make me the permanent head coach right when new ownership comes in. So technically he could kind of be the new owner's guy. And that's what new ownership does. They want to bring in their own guys. They want to have their own stamp of approval. This is an incredible opportunity for Splitter to see what he can do. And I think you give him bonus
points for 29 other coaches.
And I think you give him bonus points if he does succeed because, for better or for worse, Chauncey Billups had relationships with a lot of the players, and this is probably a shock to their system. You're hearing the same voice every day, and now that voice is gone, and you have to kind of figure out a way to get reprogrammed, and you're listening to another voice, another philosophy. And if Tiago can show that he has the X's and O's, but he also has people skills to motivate and to push the right buttons and to individually coach. That's the key. You got to be able to individually coach these guys. Some people need to be yelled at to motivate. Some need to be complimented and say, hey, you're doing a good job, but you got to fix this up here. Like, let's correct it. Like, you have to know how to push everyone's buttons. If he can do both, he is going to find himself, like you mentioned, as one of the 30 jobs in the world, NBA head coach. So I think this is a great opportunity for Tiago Splitter.
Absolutely. Yeah. It should. He can get a better, if he wanted to, he could use this Blazers thing as a stepping stone for a better and more coveted job, or he can go back to if he does well, it only benefits him and it only benefits the Blazers.
Yeah, and looking at this from an embarrassing point of view is you have probably the first head coach that I can recall being linked to the mafia and providing insider information in all of the major professional American sports history. I haven't heard of anybody else being like, oh, this is a similar case to X, Y, and Z. No, it's Portland Trailblazers head coach, right? Chauncey Billups. Like, that is a huge just stain on the franchise. Like, and this is a player, or excuse me, a person who came in with question marks about his character. He had rape allegations. Neil O'Shea handled that about as poorly as you could. It was pretty evident they didn't do a damn thing into the investigation. In fact, I think a couple of days after that, it came out that the quote unquote firm that they hired was posting pornography in his own public Twitter account. When Sean Highkin asked legitimate questions into the investigation, Neil O'Shea did the infamous spit take into the water bottle, said that's proprietary. The PR shut everything down from that. When Chauncey was asked about it, he didn't give any sort of an answer that made you feel at ease with the situation. I'm not saying that if he's found guilty of the wire fraud and the illegal gambling, that confirms what he did in his past. But typically when somebody does something bad, that's not the first time they've done something bad. So you can all make your own judgments and conclusions to that. But the fact that the Blazers under Jody Allen, and this really falls on her because all of this has happened since Paul passed away. Mm-hmm. And this is why active ownership is so important. Like, right, there's a fine line between an owner who has the nose in their business, but an owner who is attentive. And Jody Allen may have signed off on a lot of things and may have been present for things, but when she is really not she's not a basketball person, right? Mm. She came into this off of a family trust and inheritance. And you have this public information, and this is, I think, really damning. A professional poker player just a couple of years ago on a podcast brought up these illegal poker games, and he talked about Chauncey Billups, and he said that these weren't on the up and up. If you are a multi-billion-dollar business, which the Trailblazers are,
their risk management's awful.
You have to have somebody on staff. You probably need to have a firm on staff every day that scours the internet, scours everything, that says, okay, you're clean, you're clean. It's the same thing when firms hire headhunters to find CEOs or presidents of their operation, or high level executives. You don't want any negative public relations when it comes to a high level hire like that. And they have access to tools that we could only fathom, dream of. Absolutely. How this slipped through the cracks when there was public information out about this, that they didn't dig into the allegations, they didn't dig into this gambling. It's going to fall on Joe Cronin as well. He was the one that extended Billups, right? Jody Allen extended Cronin. They extended them both. I think Cronin's going to go. Don't think Tom and the new ownership group is going to want to have any recollection of this. They want to say, hey, we started, they are done, right? Maybe you keep some people on the basketball staff scouting. I don't know, but
the scouting people are nameless people, right? The people that everybody knows is Chauncey Billups and Cronin.
Joe Cronin.
If I was the new ownership, I mean, I'm not particularly happy with how the team is constructed. I know a lot of people are, but I don't know. I don't think Cronin's done that many good things. Tumani and making trades that anybody else could make. I don't know. Yeah, if it was me, I was the ownership, peace out to everybody, just for the safety and peace of mind of this is one of the biggest black mark of the Portland Trailblazers since the Bad Boy Blazers. Like, we need to cut everybody that has a name that people recognize.
I mean, I almost say I don't even think it matters if Joe Cronin did a great job, right? I think if, as And this comes down to public perception. If maybe they feel that the public isn't wanting Joe Cronin to leave and you feel like he's done a great job, I think he could stay. But if the public says, how do you extend him, right? Maybe if they hadn't extended him, right? Maybe if it was his last year, maybe if this was the last year of his contract, right? And they were just going to ride it out like a lot of people thought would happen, or they didn't extend his coach option for the season. But the fact that they extended him, it just looks really
The
bad.
optics are awful.
The optics are awful, and I'm not saying they should or he deserves to be let go, but Joe Cronin probably is now in the crosshairs of the new ownership group. He's going to have to do,
the media is about to be on his ass too. Like it's not just the ownership, it's the media. Like they're gonna realize, oh, Chauncey Billups got re-signed. Oh, let's talk about Joe Cronin. Like it's gonna be like we've seen in the NBA the last decade. The media is used as a weapon. I think Joe Cronin eventually is going to be put in that scope.
Yeah, I mean, was Chauncey Billups and Neil Olshey hire? Yes. But the moment they were extended together, they now become
they're a pair.
It's the extension that I think really is the kicker. And yeah, we're gonna have to live with it. Like as a fan, basketball wise, you hope we don't get the old terminology from college football, the death penalty, where like you get draft picks and all that stuff stripped away from you. Because like if your head coach is responsible for the team, the face of the franchise, so to speak, if he's providing insider information, like part of me is like, I don't see any way in which the Blazers franchise doesn't get any sort of repercussions. Like I don't think it can be a Chauncey Billups only and like, oh, Portland, you had no idea.
Do you remember how many first round picks Minnesota lost with Joe Smith? Like
in a 5-year span, they got year 1 and year 2 removed. They kept year 3 and year 4 and year 5. So 4 out of 5 years, first round picks done. That killed the Kevin Garnett era.
Killed it. Yeah. Like there was no way that they could, and Kevin Garnett's like one of the best players ever. Like
the only good thing about the Blazers right now, one of 4 storylines, right? Like you have Terry Rozier, they have to handle another player that's gambled. They have the Kawhi Leonard, Steve Ballmer, Clippers circumventing of the cap, which I think is just as big of a story. So you're gonna have to punish the Clippers too extremely hard. Like you can't show lenience to one and not the other. Like that would absolutely be detrimental to Adam Silver. And then you've got more information that is ultimately going to come out from this. Like, make no mistake about it, it doesn't end here.
It does not.
Especially when you get players and coaches now in this, like, do they enter a plea deal? What information are they able to provide? Like, do they provide any information? Who knows? Maybe it does in there, but I would assume that there is more to this. Just a really strange time we're living in professional sports. I don't think they're going to go light.
No.
This could be a scenario where Chauncey Billups gets his Hall of Fame induction removed. This could be a scenario where he's obviously banned.
He's going to prison. Like
why? Yeah. I mean, if he's guilty, he will go. But like, I don't think anybody is going to go light on this because there's a lot of people with money.
Yeah.
Well, the people don't like their money fucked with. If the corporate sponsors that have doled out billions of dollars into Adam Silver's product start to feel uncomfortable, start to feel like they're not seeing a return on their investment, they're not going to be happy. When those money is the one thing that talks. And so if they get upset, they start to think, oh, maybe we can get out of this contract. We can find a legality in it, a technicality. That's why I think they are going to try to basically throw the book at anybody involved in this because they don't want it to happen again. It can't happen again.
Well, I mean, shit, like with the mafia attached to it, like the families don't want to lose money either. Like it's a very scary situation, but it's a very interesting situation on what happens next. Because again, we could be back here in a few days talking about round 2 of what happens with the Portland Trailblazers because of this issue. But I don't think that us as a franchise is going to remain clean from it. I think we're all getting punished. Like, the franchise itself is getting punished.
Excited to see how the team looks under Tiago Splitter. Excited to actually root for them in good conscience. Again, like, I wish they would have never hired him in the first place. I wish they would have not let this play out as long as it did. God, let alone extend. But excited to kind of build my fandom back up little by little and to see what Tiago can do. He's a big unknown. We have a young team. I want to see how he gets them to play. I want to see the differences. I want to see him play to player strengths. I want to see development, specifically from the bigs. We were at the game and we talked about this last week. He had Jan Hansen in the game just floating around on offense. He's going to give up points on defense at this stage of his career. We all know that. For him to be a net neutral, let him run the show. Let him dictate. This is what he was drafted for. So I'm excited to see, like, Tiago's a big man. He gets it. You got to let those guys eat. So that's what I'm going to turn my attention toward. Sage, do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap up this emergency podcast?
I think Young and Donovan have, this is not the right week for them to be under this microscope. I want to see how they run the guards, and how they utilize Jeremy Grant off the bench. If they utilize Jeremy Grant off the bench, I think the guards and wings and the ball handlers are going to be more interesting for me to watch than Young and Donovan, because grand scheme of things, I don't expect either of them to have a high usage rate anytime in the near future. I expect a lot of ball handling responsibilities from Shaden and Drew and Jeremy. And shout out to Blake Wesley for playing hard. All right. We are going to be back hopefully Wednesday. Nothing else crazy happens. So thank you all for listening. We will be back soon. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast. We are there. Thank you to everybody for listening, and we will be back soon. Peace. Later.
Later, bud.